Carolyn Dube here with the latest installment of Playdates Spray Ink Edition. Now, Playdates are all about having that conversation, starting that dialogue about why we like to play with the supplies that we like to play with, why we make the choices that we make. Keep in mind there are no right or wrong answers because each one of us is unique in our own creative way. Well, today what I'm going to be sharing with you is how I explore, get to know a spray ink. Some people do it in a very, very organized fashion, and things are lined up wonderfully and perfectly, and that is a fantastic way to do it if it works for you. For me, it's just not quite that organized, so I'm going to share with you how I kind of play around with some supplies and get to know them, know the properties about them, and that leads me to know something about them, how they react, how they behave, so that I start to learn which ones I like and why I do or don't like them. So a lot of my opinion coming around in this one, and my opinion is just my opinion. Anything that I say about these spray inks is just how I feel about them with me. You may feel completely different about the exact same spray ink, and guess what? That's a-okay. Because you know what? It's about the conversation. It's about the sharing of the idea. And that, to me, is what Playdates are all about. So I hope you'll join in the conversation after you've watched this video to see how I explore and play with different spray inks. Well, today I'm sharing with you how I know what my spray inks will do and how they end up being one of my favorites. I will tell you, with this array of spray inks that you're seeing here, these are ones that did not make my final cut of my absolute favorites. I have them, so I like to use them, but I don't use them nearly as much as I do my go-to ones. So I'm going to play around with them today and show you how I've gone about finding out which ones I like and what characteristics I'm drawn to in a spray ink. When I first started playing with spray inks, and this goes back many years, what I would do is when I got a new supply, I would squirt it out and I would then label it as to what kind it is. Like that one was Mr. Huey, this one was the Hero Arts. And I'd go through this process of squirting it out and labeling them, and I might run water over them and see if they react to water, all those kinds of things. And what I found is I ended up with a really beautiful chart. But I didn't have any real working knowledge of what the spray inks would do for me or how they felt to me, because some felt very unnatural to me and some felt very natural. There was only one way I was really going to find that out, and for me, doing the chart like this didn't do that. If making a chart like this works for you, fabulous. I say do whatever works for you and makes you happy. But I'm going to show you the chaotic mess that actually works for me. There's only one way that I learn about spray inks, and that is through hands-on play, experimentation, and just getting my hands dirty and playing. And quite literally, they will get dirty with this. I've got this piece of paper here, and it's just a piece of paper. So I'm going to play around with some spray inks and a stencil on this. And what I've got right there are some of the chalkboards from Tattered Angels, and those go back a few years, let me tell you. And one of the things about the chalkboard paints is they had kind of a chalky finish to them, hence the name, so it's reasonable that they had that. But I found I just didn't get as excited about that as I wanted to be. So that's why I didn't use those spray inks a lot. Now, these are the Hero Arts neon ones, and I love them, except they clog for me a lot. Now, I will say that every spray ink clogs at some point, but on those, I just don't shake them up enough or something, and they tend to clog on me more than I like. Now, this next one that I'm going to bring out is also a blast from the past. This one is a Making Memories spray ink, and it is, I didn't like the nozzle on it. They would explode on me frequently. To their credit, this is one of the earlier spray inks, so I know spray ink bottles have improved greatly since then. It also had a much darker color to it, and it was extremely permanent, so that it would also give me a very crisp image when I used it with spray inks, but I found that I liked more of a runny, watery, imperfect image, so that's why I didn't use that spray ink as much. Next up, I've got some Heidi Swapp Color Shine, and I like the colors in it, but they weren't quite bright enough for me. I really wanted some in-your-face kind of rainbow color. So I like it, but it didn't make my top list. This is some of the Tattered Angels Good Old Glimmer Mist from the early days. And the stuff with that is it was just too light of a color. I definitely wanted something with a little more punch, pow, and pop to it. Because if you've seen my stuff, you know how much I love color. And that's some Mr. Huey in a bright yellow. And I have to say, I like the colors in Mr. Huey. But my big challenge with it is the size of the bottle. I go through a lot of spray ink because I really like it. I like to hit my stencils with a lot of color so that I just go through the bottles too fast. I really like the big bottles that the old like Adirondack color washes came in. Did I say washes? Washes? Oh my mother would be on me for putting that R in there. Or like this one, the Radiant Rain, the shimmering mist. This was from Luminart back in the day. I mean, literally that might be 7, 8 years old at least. So I'm at nearly the end of it. Sprayer is kind of sputtering on me. I gotta say, pretty impressive that it's still working after this many years. But one of the things that I found about with a spray ink that makes me want to use it is something that has nothing to do with the actual ink in there. It has to do with how the bottle feels in my hand. Do I like how easily it sprays? Do I like how it feels? And one of the only ways that I can figure that out is by actually getting in there and playing with it. Another thing for me is how much the ink runs. I like a little bit of running in my ink, so an ink that's too crisp for me doesn't make me as happy. I like a little bit of run. I like a little bit of splatter. I also found that I like things that were very vibrant. Now, I know you're probably thinking, yes, Carolyn, we know you love the Skittles Rainbow. Now, you've just heard a lot of reasons about why these spray inks aren't in my go-to list. That doesn't mean I don't occasionally use them. They're a lot of fun. Like right now, I'm just having a good old time messing around with spray inks. I've given myself permission to play, and I will say that like this cap, it's clogging up on me, so that's how it goes. But I did get some great little splitters and splatters as I tried to get it to work. Sometimes I'll take caps off, or I'll even soak caps in water overnight to help unclog them. A lot of times that helps. But this one's just not going to behave for me on camera, so I'll grab a different one. And it's not behaving either. So, okay, really sorry. I don't know exactly what I'm doing wrong with those Hero Arts, but they really clog up on me. Maybe I need to shake them more before I hit the pump on them. Anyway, so back to what I was talking about. Even though these sprays haven't necessarily made the go-to list, they're still an awful lot of fun to play with. And the only way that I found out how I really felt about these spray inks, about which ones I was really drawn to, was simply by doing what you're seeing here, and that's playing with it. There is nothing better for me than hands-on, getting those hands in there and getting them super, super dirty. And, oh buddy, let me tell you, they're stained up right now big time. Well, now I'd love to hear about how you figure out what you like in a spray ink. Are you an organized chart kind of person and you like to see those grids? You like to have a very methodical way of going through it? Or are you sort of a chaotic, random, play with it, see where it all turns out kind of person as you're exploring spray inks? Well, join in the conversation over on the blog at acolorfuljourney.com, or you can jump on over to the Google Plus Playground, or community called A Colorful Playground, and share your thoughts over there. That stencil that I've been using in here, I don't think I've mentioned that. It is called Encouraging Scribbles, and it's available over at Stencil Girl Products. And of course, I have a giveaway happening this week over on the blog, so if you'd like to get entered into that, pop on over and leave a comment for your chance to win. Thanks for watching and being a part of this colorful journey.